Born Edith Posner, she came into this mess in October of 1897, born in San Bernardino.
1897?
1897.
In San Bernardino?
Yeah, they had horses all the way up to the 60s.
Wasn't it just like Mormons in San Bernardino in 1897?
I don't know. It's not in LA County.
Please don't tell me. Yeah. My registry of Mormons ends at the county line.
So her father, Max, was an immigrant from Prussia who came to the U.S. in 1876.
Wow.
Her mother, Anna, was a Jewish woman from St. Louis, Missouri.
Oh, yeah.
Max and Anna did not stay together for long, and Anna often married a man named Frank Spare, making little Edie Posner now Edith Spare. That's her name.
Okay. That's unfortunate.
It's a funny name. Strangely, Anna and Frank were telling people they met that Frank was Edith's biological child, and Edith was now being raised in a Catholic church despite being born Jewish.
Mormon. Oh.
So close.
What? Like what? To make people think she's not Jewish so that they wouldn't be mean to her?
I suppose, but also...
Mean or worse?
Your mom was a Jewish lady? You might be a person of the Jewish faith. That's the rules. Frank was either a miner, M-I-N-E-R, or a mining engineer, but either way, because of his occupation, the Spares moved a lot throughout Arizona, Mexico, and Nevada. Searchlight, Nevada is listed on some websites as her hometown. She once said of her childhood, I didn't have what you would call an artistic or cultural background. We lived in the desert and we had burros and jackrabbits and things like that. So it's just
doesn't sound like the San Bernardino I know.
No, certainly. Where's the flying cars? Where's the 7-Eleven on every block?
Where's the masters in fine arts that every single resident has? There's artists spilling over into the streets of Renaissance people.
Yeah, the Louvre's sister museum is in San Bernardino.
Right next to the original, what was
Taco
the original?
Bell?
Yeah, right next to the original Taco Bell.
Yeah.
Their Louvre is shaped like a chalupa. Welcome to San Bernardino.
And with most things with kids who move around a lot, Edith was an incredibly solitary child who spent most of her time just daydreaming. Out of high school, Edith attended UC Berkeley, graduated in 1919, and went on to Stanford, where she was awarded a master's in Romance languages.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
That was so long ago. Those were just languages back then.
They were just languages. It was just Latin. They're going to try to give it an overarching title, but it was mostly Latin.
Et tu mama tambien, Brutus?
For the last time, no.
Then so is horny Caesar.
So this was 1920, and Edith Spare went from being in classes to teaching them. She started as a language teacher at Bishop School in La Jolla, where our Conan left us for, and then moved on to Hollywood School for Girls, now the Women's Club of Hollywood, where she taught French, even though that was not her native tongue.
Well, they seem to lie about her origins over and over, so I'm sure
There's a lot of lying in this story. So stick with me. But teaching languages was not her passion. Her true passion was getting paid more money than whatever job she was at. And being an art teacher at the school would give her more money. So she applied for and was given the job, even though Edith had lied and actually had no art experience. So as I call it...
But she's from San Bernardino.
I don't understand. Basic Marge Simpson giving piano lessons while learning piano. You just have to stay one lesson ahead of the students.
You have to stay one stroke ahead of the students. And
yeah. Do we use purple in this? Purple. Give me a week.
They're still in their impressionist phase. I'm in my blue phase. So I should be okay.
I know where noses go still. Am I in trouble? So to compensate for this, Edith started taking night classes at Otis Art Institute and the Cohenard Art College.
Chouinard, isn't it?
Oh, is it Chouinard? I didn't know.
You've still got Conan on the brain.
I've got Conan on the brain.
The man from La Jolla, which we should explain really quickly because we make that reference a lot. One time we saw Conan and it was a bunch of people trying to talk to Conan as we were. And he kept saying like, I got to go. I got to go to La Jolla. I got to go to La Jolla. And we couldn't.
As he continued signing and taking pictures with a crowd of people, kept saying, I have to go to La Jolla.
For everybody but us. And
but
then
when it became the Meekly Boys' turn.
Yeah. I have to go to La Jolla.
Had you not heard that I have to go to La Jolla? La Jolla is more important than you.
That's when Sona came out and said he's got to go to La Jolla.
Yeah, and she patted our backs and she pushed us downstairs. It was a pratfall.
But back to Edith Head.
Chouinard Art College.
Chouinard Art College.
It's here where she would meet her future husband and next surname, Charles Head. They married and now Spare became Head. Charlie Head was a traveling salesman, and this line of work allowed Edith to continue living in a very solitary way. The relationship was rocky from the start, both because of his absence, which she was maybe okay with, and his drinking, which she was not a fan of. In 1923, Paramount Studios put out an ad in the LA Times classified looking for a costume sketch artist For Edith, she was perhaps feeling like the married life was not for her, and maybe to distract herself, maybe to move up in the world, she applied for the position despite still not having a great artistic skill set.
Women just had it so easy back then. They could just keep lying and failing upwards. How did they hire her? Like, there had to have been some sort of...
You can't see me right now. I'm grinning very wide.
Yeah, you turned it to the Cheshire Cat.
The Grinch when he's about to do something really awful. Also from La Jolla. It's said that Edith went to the interview with a borrowed portfolio and got the position. I've read borrowed, but it sounds more like she created a portfolio of her classmates' best works, landscapes, seascapes, oil sketches, and presented them as her own. What's the word for that? It's still it till you reel it. Is that the phrase that people always use?
She was a modern day George Santos. Two American legends. According to themselves.
Yeah. Children of America. Edith was offered the job of costume sketch artist working under the talented Howard Greer of Famous Players Lasky's. He was Famous Player Lasky's chief designer, who was enamored with Edith's artistic skill, which was, again, not hers. Not her skill set.
I love how varied your style is and how your signature is different every time.
Every single time. Greer himself created costumes for looks for Shirley Temple, Mary Pickford, Gloria Swanson, Ginger Rogers, Kat Hepburn, and Theda Bara, among many others. He provided a full wardrobe for Garbo and designed the wardrobe for Shirley Temple and Gloria Vanderbilt. Like, their personal wardrobe was designed by Howard Greer.
Did Shirley Temple always wear the little lollipop dresses? That's the best way I can describe them.
Yeah, her funeral dress was also, it was a black lollipop affair.
Bury me in my best poodle skirt.
With my best poodle, alive or not. Edith's ruse didn't last long. How could it? And eventually Greer caught on that Edith was not as talented as she presented herself to be. Her true talent, of course, was the con. Con! That's what Greer said.
Watch out, she might get COVID.
But Greer did not fire her. He became her mentor, instead teaching Edith how to sketch and, more importantly, how to establish and develop a rapport between the movie star and the designer. He could have easily just ended Edith Head, but he chose to recognize moxie, recognize a liar, and that liars don't deserve what you're about to give them, and he rewarded her instead.
Which he did say to her explicitly, I could end you right now.
I could end it. You're an ant, and I am a boot, and I could just, like...
Off with the head.
Off with... Great.
I've been living alone with a cat for like a week now. Melissa's out of town. This is all I've got.
Phantom just taps you on the shoulder like, it's okay. Yeah. It's all right, man.
Let me take over.
I'm on it. One of Edith Head's first solo assignments was for Cecil B. DeMille's 1925 film The Golden Bed, where she was to design the costumes for the Candy Ball. The design she created called for costumes made of actual lollipops, peppermint sticks, and chocolate drops.
Well, the costumes were?
They weren't made strictly of that. They were like adorned with it. Like they were decorated with it. But they weren't like, but they were part of the design itself.
So they could be eaten in an emergency.
Yeah, and it should be. Of course, production came to a full stop when the peppermint sticks began sticking together and the chocolate started melting under studio lights. Of course.
That's why you got to go with the dark chocolate when you're making a costume covered in chocolate.
They hadn't invented dark chocolate yet. With DeMille going full Hulk mad at her, Head quickly put together a marshmallow studded dress with matching marshmallow hat, shoes, and a necklace to solve the problem. Ha. Glad that'll never happen again.
This person became the first See's Candy when the studio lights melted them into their costume.
It's like the Joker origin story.
Yeah, this is how s'mores were invented.
Well, great. Glad it'll never happen again. In Raoul Walsh's 1925 film, The Wanderer, same year, by the way, Head was assigned to dress an elephant, so she chose to drape over the animal some flowers and grapes. It looks great, but it tasted even better for the elephant, who, of course, ate all of it, once again bringing production to a halt, a startling, abrupt halt. Some speed bumps on the road to success, sure, but Edith was learning and never making the same mistake twice. More importantly, a similar mistake is not the same mistake.
Yeah, a similar mistake many times, but never. She never put a marshmallow on a suit again.
She never made an elephant like a marshmallow necklace or anything like that.
She never forgot to not do that again.
More importantly, she was building a rapport with the actresses she was working with. While some studios did not want any input from the stars, Edith Head would approach them and ask them if they had a clothing preference or a style preference that they like to lean on.
Marshmallows. More marshmallows.
An elephant pretending to be Shirley Temple. More marshmallows. She studied her stars and their body types and movements, all to make her star look like a star. With this, actresses she worked for actively sought her and vouched for her. Liz Taylor, one of her closest friends, Marlena Dietrich, Babs Stanwyck, Grace Kelly were not only collaborators, they had become her fans at this point. She was being referred to as the Dress Doctor or simply the Doctor.
Dr. Dress, as they call her. So it wasn't just movies, like she was making their day-to-day clothes at this point? Or
not yet, but she will. But at this point, she's just working on films that these actresses are in, and some of them are kind of stars and some of them are on their way up.
Right.
Her motto was accentuate the positive and camouflage the rest. It's unclear when Edith Head adopts the look, that being like bangs, circular dark glasses, and being short. But it's no exaggeration to say it. It's an iconic look. Like if you put those on a silhouette or whatever, if you just leave those out, like people will look at it and be like, oh, that's Edith Head stuff.
Are you going to talk about...
Just a little bit.
Okay. Because speaking of her look, like, you know what she looks like. Everybody who's listening to this knows what she looks like, and you will explain why soon.
Yes, I will. We're talking about a certain Pixar character?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Woody from Toy Story. Actually, that's my guy.
I'm looking straight into your cat's butthole.
And what do you see about yourself?
The future. The future of this industry. Oh, about Edith Head, I said she looks like Roy Orbison's sister.
So you're saying she was albino?
Part of me thought that she might be albino, which led me to think that she might actually be.
You're only thinking that because of this ridiculous urban legend that Roy Orbison.
Ridiculous,
but that's not how all albino people dress. Fake dark hair and black sunglasses.
Oh my god! Okay. I love to generalize. Some of them do, and maybe two of them are really famous for it.
Who's the second one? Oh, Edith Head.
Edith Head, yeah.
Because I was thinking of Jonathan Winters, or not Jonathan Winters, Edgar Winters.
Edgar Winters is a better one. Yeah. Her glasses we should talk about, because this is something I didn't know. So she has the famous circular glasses. Her glasses were special because they were blue lensed glasses, so she can get a sense of how her looks would be affected by a black and white photography of the cameras that she was shooting with at the time.
That's
because I knew the round glasses. I didn't really clock well enough that they were like darker shade glasses. And then when I started reading about it, I'm like, oh yeah, that's right. They're almost sunglass types, but you can always see her eyes.
Okay. So wait, so it was filtering out just like natural, or
it was like a blue lens, so she would get a better idea of how something would look through a black and white camera.
Okay. That's weird. Why don't you just wear black and white glasses?
One black and one white.
Why did she just walk around wearing 3D glasses like Biff's friend? Which I think was not Billy Zane. Who's the guy from Titanic?
Billy Zane.
Is that Billy Zane? Then who am I? Who's?
I don't know. Who's in Back to the Future 2?
Who's the guy from That Thing You Do?
Oh.
That's not Billy Zane? What's that guy's name? The silly one.
Oh, Steve Zahn.
Steve Zahn.
Right.
Okay.
A young Steve Zahn. So the glasses trick was not strictly an Edith trick. That was like an old cinematographer's or some cinema craftsman. But she was the one who took that look and made it defined her basically, or she defined the look. One of the two.
I'm thinking of this player on the Kings who has he wears a tinted visor, and that's because it like dims the lighting of Staples Center.
Oh wow, that's interesting.
And that kind of became his signature look.
Is he Roy Orbison?
Oh my god, no.
Oh my, that's how I know him.
It's Jonathan Winters, the improv comedian. the famously albino improv comedian, Jonathan Winters.
So towards the end of the 1920s, her mentor Howard Greer left famous Lasky Players, now Paramount, and was replaced by another designer, Travis Banton. Banton is now remembered as having created the Paramount look, quote unquote. Created costume designs for many movies, but here's the ones that I've heard of. Wings.
Okay.
Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde, Shanghai Express, Design for Living, and My Man Godfrey, among many, 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 many other credits.
So what year was this that she's working?
End of the 1920s.
Oh my God. Was that long ago that she got into movies?
Yeah. And then
Wings was the first movie to win an Oscar.
That's how long. I mean, I'm pretty sure that's how long she's been working since like a little bit before that.
And Tony Shalhoub was in it.
And oh god, what's the there are two that made it through that, and they're both the dumb characters.
Right.
Thomas Hayden Church.
Oh, Thomas Hayden
was also
Church,
in.
yeah. And Jonathan Winters. Could you believe it? A middle-aged Jonathan Winters.
Yeah, it never aged, that man. Banton designed the wedding dress for Mayor Minkley herself, Mary Pickford. Just a little
wedding
thing I
dress,
learned.
okay.
Her wedding dress, yeah. Edith then moved from sketch artist to assistant designer under Banton. She worked for some time on B-Westerns and some background costume for big studio projects, but Banton and Head got along and he saw her potential. He assigned her to work on the 1927 epic, like I said, Wings, where she designed outfits for Clara Bow, who would become one of her closest friends. 2 years later, she designed for Lupe Valdez in 1929's The Wolf Song, and then 1929, the Depression hit. But this time, it gave Edith an opportunity and permission to go bigger with designs, because what happens to the movies during the 30s, they all get big and lavish and outrageous because everyone's eating their own shoe. So a lot of studio moguls took the social temperature of the country and thought, since the citizens were eating their shoes, let's say, stars should dress big and go big. Everything should be big.
Their shoes should look really tasty.
Yeah. Oh my God, your cat is outrageous.
This is exactly why he gets locked into the bedroom when we record things.
He's hilarious. He's being hilarious right now. I think he just tried to bop you.
He's doing pratfalls now.
He's spinning a cane.
He's doing a tight 5 now. He kicked the mouse. He doesn't understand. He understands
as a cat would.
He understands it's a mouse, but not that sort of mouse.
He's trying to break it in half to leave half of it on a. So Edith's salary dropped during the Depression from $40 a week to $25 a week. Luckily, she had her contract renewed and didn't do something crazy like, I don't know, pass Birth of a Nation off as her own to get a director's job. I don't know. She could have done that. Paramount was now realizing what an asset this small, bespectacled woman was and pushed for her to become as big as any other renowned crew member.
She can't. She's so little.
She's so small. Eventually, she'd be getting...
I don't mean for this to sound like a classic setup, but how small was she? Do we know?
I can look it up. I didn't take no.
The depiction we know of her is quite small.
Cartoonishly small because it's a cartoon.
Because it's a cartoon. But I want to know, like, was she, is it like Napoleon where it's like, yeah, he was small compared to our standards?
I just looked it up.
America, that is.
America. We measure in inches, not Celsius or whatever.
He's 4 Celsius. He's 12 apples tall, Greg.
I just typed it in and the result is 5'1".
Okay, that's pretty small.
So she's a little taller than you.
I am famously 4'7".
Wolverine's height without the hair. Paramount was now realizing what an asset this small, bespectacled woman was and pushed for her to become as big as any other renowned crew member. She was eventually getting paid $175 a week from the drop in her pay, which was $25. They were now pushing for her to make even, a quadruple, a million times. And not only that, but somehow, not more important to me, not to her, to get an on-screen credit. The first one being for 1933's Mae West's vehicle, She Done Him Wrong. Her salary was bumped up after that point to $200 a week by 1934. She designed for Shirley Temple for Little Miss Marker the same year. 1936 is a huge year for Edith for 2 reasons. One, she gets to sing all the single ladies at karaoke because she filed for divorce from Charles Head. And 2,
but she kept the name?
She kept the name because the other one was Spare.
Well, it was her spare name.
It was her spare name, so she's going to stick with Head. She created one of her first landmark looks that can be like easily tied not only to the actress wearing it, but to the designer. This was the sarong dress designed for Dorothy Lamour in The Jungle Princess, a sexy pinup look that defined Lamour. She was even referenced to as the sarong girl and made Edith Head costume designer you had to work with.
Have you seen this? Have you seen this dress? Have you seen this dress?
Are you hearing about this? You see this? Yeah, I've seen it. It's basically like, I guess the look starts here, but it's like jungle native girl.
Okay.
Like it's a sarong is
it's like
garment wrapped around your body as a dress.
Like Raquel Welch in whatever that movie is where she's a cave woman.
A little more like a one piece. For some reason, Raquel Welch is wearing a 2-piece. Right. I think
they didn't know shame back then. They hadn't eaten the apple of snakes or whatever. The apple of, what is it? The apple of truth? I don't know.
I only know it from Simpsons references. This was something Lamore struggled to escape from, as it sort of became her shorthand, and she found herself having to return to the jungle native girl look several times. Like the way Jack Pierce, if I understand it, the way Jack Pierce defined iconography or monsters is similar to Head designing one for the native jungle girl look. Like that's how iconic it was.
Boris Karloff also desperate to escape everyone thinking he's Frankenstein.
Yeah. You should have probably kept your teeth in. For that one, pal.
You probably shouldn't have worn the two-piece.
That being his removable teeth.
His top and lower half.
His top and lower half, yeah.
Of his body.
1939, Travis Banton was out. Some people think that this was at the insistence of Edith, but I don't really know. And she assumed the role of head designer for Paramount, the first woman to hold that title.
Is that why they call it a head designer?
Head designer, yeah. Actually, it's capital H head designer because she was now working on costume designs for 30 movies a year, and she was working on high fashion outside the studio. She made an ad in Fashion Plate Shoes, which was a magazine. The tagline read, "Look for Edith Head's autograph on the insole." Like that's like now she's becoming like she's transcending my name is in the credits to like I am part of fashion history now. Like I am the name in the now.
I thought it was going to be something like, "Look for Edith's head on your toes."
What's in the box? Her commentary was included in Photoplay magazine regarding Paris couture. She became a frequent fashion feature for the magazine as the years went on in a photo for Photoplay. In 1940, Edith married an art director named Bill Boppo Einen, and she stayed married until he died in 1979.
He was an animatronic clown.
Yeah, he was in the Chuck E. Cheese band for a while, and then he got out to be an art director. She took on a new assistant, a Russian-Italian aristocrat who had fled Russia and then had to flee Italy and come to America. This new assistant was Oleg Cassini, the man responsible for Jackie Kennedy's defining style. He also worked with Johnny Carson on his men's fashion line, which was launched on The Tonight Show. He only worked briefly at Paramount as he left to fight World War II and then didn't come back to Paramount. But like that's
wait a minute. Did he come back anywhere, or did he just know? Okay,
he came back. Yeah, because both those things happened after World War II.
This is a good point.
Johnny Carson's childhood talk show. He launched the men's fashion line.
The before bedtime show.
Still racking up the ladies on that show, though. Still getting it.
I thought the new euphemism was he died in battle was he didn't come back to Paramount.
Did he buy the farm or did he not come back to Paramount?
Is he in a better place? Yeah, Warner Brothers.
Yeah. Have you seen the commissary there? Jeez Louise. Salmon every day. During the wartime rations of most industries when designs were being turned into bullets for the war effort, Edith promoted cotton over silk, which helped the boys overseas somehow, and pushed for double-duty clothes like coats with removable lining and reversible clothing items. Like that was her part in trying to help the war effort.
So you're saying that all of our soldiers could have been wearing silk if Edith Head hadn't made them use cotton?
Hugo Boss was on the battlefield and he was telling Nazi officers to not shoot through silk because it was too expensive.
Yeah, we could have ended
let them
the
just
war.
Starve. We could have ended the war that way, yeah.
This could have been Oppenheimer.
They should make an Oppenheimer about Hugo Boss. Grading jackets that I look at and like, wow, that jacket. I know it's a Nazi, but man, that jacket's something else.
Miss Head, do you know the repercussions of making a suit made entirely of velour? Do you know what this could unleash upon the world? And she Tommy Hilfiger's hat flies off and she whispers something to him.
We're designing for a young woman from Boston, Kennedy, Jackie O Kennedy, even though she hasn't taken the O yet. Edith has her own Marvel suit up moment, like Oppenheimer had, where she puts on like the dark glasses and she puts bangs on. Yeah. And then she grows, she like shrinks 2 feet.
Well, I guess she does Ant-Man. I was going to say a reverse Ant-Man, but I was thinking when Ant-Man gets big, which he is only partially known for. But in my mind, Ant-Man is known for getting big.
A giant man. I just got the other day, Giant Man. Ant-Man?
Oh.
Giant Man.
This movie has so many, much like an ant farm, it has so many layers.
So many layers. There's so much going on. Edith worked on the spectacular The Lady Eve, where she designed 25 costumes for Barbara Stanwyck. She designed an outfit for our girl Ginger Rogers in 1944's Lady in the Dark, and that was said to be one of the most expensive dresses in Hollywood history. It cost $35,000
That's ridiculous. What was it, covered in marshmallows?
It was covered in marshmallows, but they weren't from the marsh. They were from the swamps. Swamp mellows. No.
All the marshmallows were still going towards the war effort. These are swamp mellows.
The skirt was made of mink fur and lined with swirls of sequins over a matching sequin bodysuit and a mink jacket with a mink muff.
Oh my God.
It all came from like Paramount's Mink Vault or whatever, which I read, and I was trying to like understand what that meant. But this dress cost $35,000 to make.
That's ridiculous.
In 1946, she makes a fortuitous connection with when Paramount loans her skills out to RKO for Notorious, being made by Alfred Hitchcock, who would become one of her biggest allies and fans. He was a fan of hers. Hitchcock was very particular and insistent on things like color and fabric, and so was Edith. So their likenesses blended perfectly, and she becomes one of his best female collaborators, like producer Joan Harrison. That, both these women he didn't throw birds at when they took down his sexual advances. So, that's when you're in the good with him. When you're in the bad is when he tries to kill you with birds.
He threw topazes at her instead.
This is for you.
Here's some rope. I'm just going through Alfred Hitchcock's
I got
IMDb
it a little late,
page.
yeah.
We're on Zoom right now, so I'm able to do that. IMDb is at the tip of my fingertips right now.
I can type all kinds of his movies. He was throwing strangers at a train on her.
He was throwing rear windows at her.
Front ones were too expensive. After creating designs for Ingrid Bergman and Notorious, she moved on to her work that I know her from. Like when I watch these movies and you tell me, like, think of an Edith Head dress. These are all the movies I think of.
Right. Did she ever make a headdress?
That's very funny.
That'd be fun.
All her dresses are headdresses. She worked on Grace Kelly's look in Rear Window. Her character in the movie is a socialite whose looks and style are incredibly important to her. So Edith had to really outfit Grace to the nines, and it had to be perfect in that movie. And the dresses in that and fashion in that movie are impeccable. Part of Hitchcock's mise en scene.
Mise en scène.
Mise en scène.
You don't know the language.
Whatever language that is. Her outfits are like part of the whole thing.
Did she make James Stewart's cast?
Yeah, she made the cast. She made the pajamas. She made all the stuff for Thelma Ritter. She made what's the name of the actor who plays the guy across the way?
I don't know.
Raymond Burr. Is it Raymond?
Oh,
not Raymond Burr.
It's Aaron Burr.
It's Aaron Burr.
Oh, Jonathan Winters.
He's certainly Jonathan Winters shaped.
Yes. Let's just say we know what season he was born.
Anyways, though, like her dresses, because of her character, her dresses are incredibly important in that movie. And part of like taking in all the whole Hitchcock of it all is Edith Head is part of that arm, like one of the arms of Hitchcock in that, for making that. Similarly, she had to create similar looks for Kim Novak's look in Vertigo, which she did. Novak told, this is a weird story. It sounds like it's pro Edith Head's diplomacy, but the more I think about it, it's very anti-Hitchcock. But Novak told Head she could wear any color but gray. She was like styled that way. They said, you look good in any color, but don't wear gray. And Hitchcock told Head about Novak, it could be any color as long as it's gray. Funny. Great. Head went to Novak with fabric swatches of shades of gray and said, it's got to be gray, but left it up to Novak to choose the shading that would flatter her the most. Hitchcock sounds kind of like an asshole. Head went on to design Tippi Hedren's dress in The Birds, and something that appeased Hitchcock's need. She had to appease both Hitchcock, who wanted to be the soft green and blue that it is, and also mobile enough for Hedren to run around it, because she runs around and gets most of it torn off in that movie.
Right.
So that dress that she wears in the famous dress she wears in the movie is Edith Head. By the early 50s, she was creating iconic looks for Betty Davis and all, what?
Did she make the costumes for The Birds?
She made the costume for the birds and the bird that all the birds that Hitchcock threw at Tippi Hedren.
Yeah, those were actually rats.
Those are actually rats dressed like birds. And that was Edith Head's design. A lot of people know that. Nobody's smart enough to ask questions like you.
Yeah, I'm pretty smart.
By the early 50s, she was creating iconic looks for, let's rattle off the big ones.
Okay.
Betty Davis in All About Eve. Liz Taylor's dress in A Place in the Sun, which I didn't know this, inspired prom dresses for the rest of time.
Oh, that's weird.
Gloria Swanson in Sunset Boulevard. Grace Kelly in To Catch a Thief. Shirley MacLaine's insane outfits in What a Way to Go. Audrey Hepburn in Roman Holiday. Audrey Hepburn in Sabrina. Audrey Hepburn in Funny Face. Audrey Hepburn in Breakfast at Tiffany's. Although with this, there's speculation that was actually Hepburn's personal designer, Hubert du Givenchy. Like the big name. They think that it was actually Givenchy designing it, and Edith took credit, which sounds like an Edith Head thing, but
Right.
I don't think really know.
So you're saying that Edith Head was, as I pronounce it, Givenchy?
Yeah, she was Givenchy.
Oh my God. So this is the Givenchy code.
This is
It was Edith Head all along.
Givenchy. I had a
Mise en scène, Givenchy.
Mise-en-scène. So it's not known if she did Hepburn's outfits for those movies, but like they look similar enough to all the other outfits that she was designing. So it wouldn't bump me that they were Edith Head designs. But it's for more research, and I didn't have time because I had COVID.
You had COVID.
I had COVID brain. It's been very hard for me to do anything except watch all the Star Trek movies. In 1948, during the Oscar ceremonies, it's said that Edith Head sat in a state of dumb shock because she did not win for the Emperor's Waltz.
I would have loved. Did she walk on stage and slap whoever won?
I would have loved she just stood on stage and was just like dumbfounded, mouth agape, dumbfounded that she didn't win.
Keep my fashion designer's name out of your Oscar ceremony.
Off of your shoulders. Keep my Givenchy. By the middle of the 1960s, Edith was now earning $10,000 a week.
That
way
can't
more
be
than
true.
A little bit more than an art teacher. And because of her appearances on Ark Linkletter's house party,
I don't know. Teachers get paid a lot of money.
Yeah, almost $10,000 a week, but not
especially
quite.
Art teachers. Yeah.
Especially art teachers in California.
What do they make? Like $9,999.
Taxes. They're going to rob you of that dollar. She was because
Thanks,
of her.
Hunter Biden.
Thanks, Hunter Biden's laptop.
And gun? I don't know what's happening.
Dong pics? I don't know. She was transcending like regular crew person, regular fashion person into household name thanks to Ark Linkletter's house party, which she made she was a common occurrence on House Party. Because of her iconic look, you could spot several cameo roles through the late 60s and 70s of Edith Head being on things. Most notably, I admit that I caught her in a cameo role. 1973's Columbo episode Requiem for a Fallen Star, you see Edith Head in the background designing something. She published her own fashion book titled How to Dress for Success. But TV had kicked movies in the nuts, and Paramount was cutting all the costs that they could, and for some insane reason, we did not renew Edith Head contract after this. The year was 1967, and the now 70-year-old Edith Head moved over to Universal, where she once again worked with Hitchcock on his movies Topaz, and created the looks for Butch Cassidy and Sundance Kid, The Sting, which is easy. You just keep the same measurements, just add 20 years to all the costumes, and you got the same outfits. And Sweet Charity, which she got an Oscar nomination for.
Did she win this time? You said nomination, so I guess not.
In total, through her career, she was nominated 35 times, one of the most nominated Hollywood women in history of the game. She won, and she won for 8 of them.
Ooh, that's a lot of silence. That's a lot of mouth agape.
That's a lot of sitting in silence, not believing you didn't win.
Oh, that's the best reaction you can have to not winning at the Oscars, other than slapping somebody. Well, I guess he wasn't. He did win.
He just won.
No. He didn't win yet. He was about to win.
You're right. He was about to win.
But the best reaction should be just like you just saw someone get mugged on the street.
But again, work dried up at the studio, and Edith started working for TV and magazines at this point, creating an evening dress for Vogue. My mom, when attending LA Trade Tech, there was a design conference and Edith Head was the speaker.
Oh, that's weird.
She said she gave great advice, nothing my mom could remember, but her presence was enough, like being in the same room as Edith Head.
If there's one thing you remember, get bangs.
Get bangs.
She bangs.
Be short.
Short. Wear glasses.
As my mom noted, and I hadn't really thought about Edith Head, something interesting is that she designed such like glamorous and lavish looks through the years, but her own look is very conservative. Very like
I'm all I know her from is from what you haven't mentioned yet, and I'm thinking, yeah, it's pretty conservative.
That cartoon character is pretty conservative.
Yeah, as you say, easy to animate.
The silhouette's already there.
Yeah, that's her fashion style. Easy to animate.
Her personal favorite project was creating uniforms for the new women recruits for the U.S. Coast Guard, which was new at the time, and they put her in charge of designing outfits. And she received the Meritorious Public Service Award for her work. She retired in 1977, but was summoned out of her career slumber for her expertise in 1940s fashion. This was for the 1982 Steve Martin movie Dead Men Don't Wear Plaid with Steve Martin and Carl Reiner. I think it's Carl Reiner movie.
Did she make the plaid?
Because she's a dead man. She made all the plaid. That was her last project, though. She died days
That's
before.
insane that she was working in the silent movie era and her last movie was Dead Men Don't Wear Black.
She has,
and it stretched that far.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it stretched that far.
Much like her clothes.
We don't know that.
I don't want to impugn
I don't
her
want to
stitching.
test. Her career is very much like Jack Pierce, like was the name that transcended her department.
Right.
Created iconic looks forever and then ended their career making like a weird thing, like making like Mr. Ed or whatever, and then like died.
Yeah, that's you either die Edith Head or you live long enough to work on Mr. Head. Mr. Head, I almost called
Mr.
her.
Head. Yeah, her dad was Mr.
Sorry,
Head.
she's not married to Mr. Head anymore.
Oh, you're right. She died days before her 84th birthday in 1981, and the movie was dedicated to her memory. I've yet to see that one. The follow-up to The Jerk.
Is it really?
Yeah,
but not the same character.
No, it's just the movie after.
A spiritual sequel. It's the Billy Madison to.
It's the Billy Madison to that.
Or vice versa.
No, it's vice. It doesn't matter. She's buried at Forest Lawn, Glendale. She was eulogized by her friend Betty Davis, saying to a crowd of loved ones, "A queen has left us, the queen of her profession. She will never be replaced. Her contributions to the taste of our town of Hollywood, her elegance as a person, her charms as a woman, never be replaced." There were many movie stars at her funeral, but there was also below the belt studio workers from Paramount there. Fritz Hawks, a Paramount security guard, showed up to pay his respects. He told an LA Times reporter who was there, "She designed this coat I have on now. She was the greatest designer in the world, and she was quite a girl." In 2003, she was put on the American stamp, and her likeness is attributed to Edna Mode, the fashion designer in The Incredibles, who Brad Bird stole
canceled Brad Bird.
all of her things and just made.
He groped her image.
Brad Bird?
Brad Bird was canceled, right?
No, I think John Lasseter was.
Lasseter.
Brad Bird
sorry.
too?
Wait, I don't want to apologize to Brad Bird because I'm possibly canceled Brad Bird. If not, he is now.
Every man's on the chopping block. More importantly than all of her accomplishments, in her will, she split her possessions amongst Liz Taylor, the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences, several cats, and her Dalmatian Boppo. This is the kind of woman Edith Head was, and I love it.
So Boppo's walking around in the dresses from Vertigo.
Yeah. He's wearing all of what's her name in Rear Window? Lisa Franklin. What is it?
I can't even. I thought Jonathan Winters was in Rear Window.
That's true.
Can't tell you.
That's true. You're not very smart.
There's James Stewart and a cast, and I don't mean the rest of the actors.
I got so excited because I was reading an LA Times article about her funeral, and they phrased it in a weird way that made me think that I was reading the list of her pallbearers, and it was like Paul Newman, Jamie Stewart, Cary Grant, Roddy McDowell. And I was like, wait, what? But they were just saying like they were pallbearers, and also these 8 actors didn't show up. And you're like, why would you even list the actors who didn't show up?
What is this, Milton Berle's wedding? I mean, not wedding, funeral. It was a wedding between his corpse and the earth, but the littlest lady has the world's longest coffin, just so all these people could carry it.
Yeah, bury me with all my dresses.
You know, it's weird because I first knew her image from The Incredibles.
Sure.
But then I learned like, oh, this is based on this lady who did all these costumes.
Yeah.
So I assumed she was alive in the early 2000s.
Right.
Around when The Incredibles came out. Because obviously she was in the movie. I saw her.
Yeah. That's not Brad Bird doing the voice.
But that's why he's canceled. But it's crazy to hear that she started at the dawn of movies but didn't quite make it to The Incredibles. What a shame.
What a shame. That's what we were all fighting for this whole time. Was the Fantastic Four done right?
It was all leading to this.
It's one of those careers that like you just got there at the right time, and I always think about like my grandma was born. Wait, what? I forgot what invention it was where she just watched like through the span of her life, watched this like one thing that's like, that'll never work. And then it became like a plane or whatever, or like a phone. That's like Edith Head with movies.
She was throwing rocks at the Wright brothers.
That's for the sky's for birds. Get out of their way.
The sky's for Alfred Hitchcock movies. Yeah. She seems like this is a phrase that can be applied to very few women in a flattering way, but a tough old broad.
Yeah. She's I think every woman would take that as a compliment. Is a tough old broad. A tough old broad is the how you go Super Saiyan when you're a lady. But yeah, no, she's a tough old broad. She sounded like she had a lot of gumption and moxie.
Yeah, I mean, to lie your way into the most successful fashion designing career in movies.
Yeah, and being paid like $10,000 a week, and to be able to leave it all to Elizabeth Taylor, the Academy, and then your pets. That's how you decide to split your remaining fortune. You're doing something pretty good.
Give all of my money to my dog, feed my face to my cats.